for the most part. They didn't have a way to knock you out other than they could use like a wooden mallet and try, but that can actually kill you.
That actually probably would do more harm than good. So they just start cutting on you until you pass out from the pain.
Right. Yeah. They just, here, drink a slug of this.
And here we go.
Bye.
This is going to hurt a whole heck of a lot.
And then they saw off whatever it is that's causing the problem.
And if you're lucky, you'll pass out.
And rather than sew it up, they probably took the nearest...
Cauterized it, and that's actually the best way to keep you from bleeding to death and getting an infection, maybe.
They just took a light, which in those cases were like kerosene lanterns, and held it to the stump and cauterized the wound. So...
Oh yeah, fun times.
So even surviving,
yeah,
kind of like a living hell.
Yeah.
So let's talk about current inhabitants.
Well, if it's a museum, is there anyone actually currently inhabiting it, or do you mean of the spectral variety?
I'm talking about the spectral variety. Because
cool!
The place regularly hosts ghost hunts. And it is consistently active.
Cool.
Consistently?
Consistently active. In other words, it is one of the places in the city where you can go and do your ghost hunt and you are going to see something or hear something. It's consistently active. It's predictably active. And that's rare.
Like this household.
Well, yeah, though we don't really do ghost hunts in our house, so that's a little bit different.
No, I'm just talking about the people and the animals in this house. You always hear something in the house.
Well, true enough.
So.
It's almost never quiet.
You're almost never quiet.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm talkative.
The most commonly seen spirit they believe to be Eliza. And it makes a certain amount of sense. Eliza saw a lot at that house.
Yeah.
She was there for the death of her father. She saw Union troops take over the place. She saw Confederate troops take over the place. She saw a lot at that house. And she had a lot happen at that house.
Yeah.
And she died in the home shortly after the Civil War broke out. So, she had 5 of her children die in the home.
Yeah. It definitely seems like the place that she would want to, that she would stay. I can't even imagine.
And she died at 29 years of age.
Oh, bless her heart.
After giving birth to her 7th child, which was not uncommon in those days.
Well, no.
And her spirit is seen regularly throughout the house, roaming the halls, standing in windows. People have seen her at night. Driving by the house, she'll be staring out a window.
Mm-hmm.
She is the most commonly viewed spirit in the home, is Eliza herself.
And again, it makes sense if that was her home if that was her home and she gave birth to the children, all of those children there, and absolutely. So people just mostly see her, though. It's not like she's coming up and going boo or...
Right. Now, there are reports of soldiers in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
There are reports of bloody soldiers in the yard.
That makes sense.
There are reports of strong tobacco smell filling a room. Like, it won't be there and then it will be. But there's no smoke. There's no tobacco.
Right. Makes sense.
And they think that might be John himself.
Oh. Mr. John was known to like him smoke, huh?
Yes, but it's hard to say because they get orbs there. They get motion there, like furniture moves, like rocking chairs rock. As I said, they get orbs there. Now, orbs are not, for me, a thing.
No.
Because orbs, more often than not, are a camera, or a bug in bad light taken with a bad camera. The light bounces off the shell of the bug, creating an orb. But the few orbs I've seen there defy that sort of easy explanation. They're inside without any real lighting. So, this is one of the few places I'd have to say, I've got to see the orb. In general, I don't trust them. These... Maybe. But even so, even if you discount them, you still get noises, you still get voices, you still get soldiers, dead soldiers. You get pools of blood that appear in the ground. Like people have reported, hey, there's this big pool of blood outside. They get outside, it's gone.
Oh, wow.
And that's partly because of the conflict. It was so bloody. But so many people died here that it's not unusual. They hear sounds of fighting.
Right.
I mean, at least you don't see a person with no arm whatsoever, no legs, just trying to crawl from the other side onto the way to the house.
Gee, Krysta, that's what I needed. I needed you to put more scary imagery in my head. I'm not going to be sleeping restfully tonight. Thank you so much.
It's pretty bad when your 11-year-old daughter can make you not be able to sleep, isn't it?
Now, one staff member got the shock of his life when he went to unlock the museum.
Uh-huh.
And every gun in the place had been moved, so it was pointing at the front door.
That would be freaky. Absolutely. That kind of goes along with what I was saying about all the doors being open on the cabinets, though.
Yeah.
Freaky.
Yeah. So that brings us to one or two, I guess, more traditional ghost stories.
Sure.
From folks at Reddit. So here we go. Reports driving by late at night, he saw someone looking out of one of the windows on the second floor. And he stopped because he didn't think anybody should be there that late. Yeah. And as he was looking, the person in question was dressed in really old clothes.
Right.
And he just about figured out it was a ghost as it just faded from view. Like it was standing there. It looked at first like it was holding open the curtains. But apparently it was just touching them because when it vanished, the curtains didn't move in. They were just held in place with ropes or something.
That's definitely creepy.
I tend to agree so. Now, the other story is more interesting. The Wornall House Museum holds events every once or twice a year where they have people in costume tell stories of various people who either died in the farm, lived in the farm, or had other issues around there.
Sure.
And guy got separated from his group. He went outside because he thought he'd hook up with him, and he saw a man in Union Cemetery uniform.
Right.
Or not Union Cemetery, but Union Soldier uniform. Union Cemetery, completely different place. Call back to episode 19 or 20 or something like that. Anyway, we did that a while ago.
Do you remember?
Maybe episode 18.
Does it look like I remember what episode that was? No. We're about on episode 40 now. I can't even think back all the way back there.
Okay, excuse me. That was before I came along.
The point is, dressed in the uniform of a Union soldier.
Sure.
So he thought he had just come to another actor.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what you would think, right?
And the guy began to go on and on about the unit he was with and how he came to be shot and how he had died on the property. And about that time, one of his friends called him from behind, and she turns over. The guy's standing in front of the museum. Hey, what are you doing out here? I'm talking to this actor. Turns around, there's no one there.
No.
Yeah, that would disconcert one.
It is a bit disconcerting.
For sure.
That would make one think you were crazy.
Possibly.
So, that is the Wornall house.
And it's beautiful, so you should search it up and look at pictures if you like the older architecture. It is quite lovely.
Loverly.
It is lovely. My take on it is that it's a very real, very haunted place. Any place touched by the Civil War, from Gettysburg to Appomattox to you name it, any place touched by the Civil War has that ghostly feel to it, and it makes sense. We're talking about a situation where brother fought against brother in a conflict that people would not let go of.
Right.
They were either staunch Unionists or staunch Confederacists. Folks like John Wornall himself seem to have been rare. Someone who just didn't seem to have a dog on either end of that fight. So, my honest opinion, there's something there. The place is haunted, and it would be a good place to go if you wanted to study haunted phenomena. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I mean, I think that any home like that, anything that's of that age, especially when it was used to house people who had been injured and died. I mean, there's no reason to think that there may not be spirits there if you believe in that at all. So, I'm definitely with you.
Krysta?
Well, I'd have to agree because, see, anything physically touched by, like, the past or, like, the Civil War and stuff like that is most likely, almost definitely, almost 100% haunted. Because Civil War was, a lot of people was killed, and, you know, spirits. I can't. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think I believe it because, I mean, if there's always something going on in the house, I'm pretty sure that it would always be there, so it's most definitely a spirit and not someone just playing tricks.
And I tend to agree with that. So, that being said, I think we've come to the point in our show where we say our goodbyes.
Absolutely.
Goodbye, first and foremost, to those that listen. And hey, tell us what you think. Have you been there? Do you want to go there? Tell us anything you that comes to mind about the Wornall house for you.
Yeah.
Also, need to say thank you. Thank yous, of course, go out to Bill Barrett, the guy that does our theme song, and thank you,
Paige.
Bill.
Sorry.
Thanks to Paige, who did our logo, and you will be seeing that logo soon on a lot of places on Hillbilly Horror Story, because they're going to take on some of our advertising for us, and I appreciate that. So,
oh, nice.
So thanks to Jerry and